Hello everybody and welcome back to new Boopies Miniatures. Today we have a quote-unquote miniature on the table as well. But when I say miniature, yeah, this thing is actually pretty damn massive, as we'll be covering the Mumakil for the Middle-earth strategy battle games line by Games Workshop. And honestly, this thing is pretty damn massive. It's almost the size of my hand, as you can see. And it's also in complete ruins. There's pieces all over the place. It's completely unassembled, and the story behind this thing is that originally the previous owner, being 12-year-old me, did not really take care of it that well, because back in the day I just didn't have the know-how. I didn't have the materials, the tools to really put this thing to justice. Back then, what I did, just getting into the hobby, was kind of glue this thing made completely out of plastic, glue it together with super glue. Now, if there is one thing in all the years that I've learned, is that plastic models do not like superglue that much, because it really ruins everything. So all the details are basically gone, which means that whilst unassembling this, because I did assemble it, I had to either break it off, cut it off, basically a bit of everything, and a lot of details got lost through the process, meaning that I will have to resculpt a lot of those, which, as you can see, I've started doing by the amount of green stuff on it so far. Now, the head of the Mumakil, you can see that I've already started sculpting it a little bit again. Most of the gaps have been filled, because that's the main thing with the Mumakil. There is a lot of filling to do. This thing is pretty damn big. There's quite some mold lines, a lot of gaps. You will have to do quite some work, which of course back then as a child I also didn't do. Maybe for the better, otherwise it would be even harder to take this thing apart. And another thing that I did back then was put wire around the tusks and then put spikes around it in the form of toothpicks. Now this, whilst removing it, completely ruined the tusks, as you can see. They're very, very deformed. They broke in separate pieces altogether. So, yeah, I will still have to strengthen those. I will have to make them sturdier, maybe pin them as well, and then go from there. Also, the same with the tail. That one broke off. I have it here somewhere. There it is. I've got the small piece of the tail. I already tried gluing it back, as you can see, and fill it with green stuff, but that didn't work, so more pinning. And then the body itself of the Mumakil, you can see that the big patches right here is where an amount of excessive super glue was placed as well, mainly due to all the holes that I've made in the Mumakil, because I've added arrows back then by using paper clips, which I also glued in place with, of course, super glue. So, but yeah, here we can see another great example, a lot of filling to do, which back then I didn't do. So that is something that I will be doing right now again, and covering the entire thing. But, you know, as you can see, I've already did some work, but let's build on some more. And then I'll show you some clips of the process of me rebuilding it a little bit, and then we have a closer look at the product that once it's, well, not finished, because it's going to take a long time, but to give you a better idea of what it will become. So, ladies and gents, as you can see, everything has been kind of assembled again, most of it at least. The howdah has been put together, which we'll have a look at in a moment. The head of the Mumakil I haven't put any more work into for now, but of course the main thing is the body. Now, like I said, and like you could see, a lot of gaps had to be filled, a lot of resculpting here and there. But it looks pretty cool so far, I think. I also put the tail in place. I've pinned it and then glued it back in place. Still have to fill that up with green stuff. But yeah, of course, the main thing here is the amount of gaps and the amount of glue that I also had to cover with green stuff and resculpt, which we could see a bit of earlier, but now it's coming a bit together again. Looks a lot nicer. The side panels I've also been working on. I've pinned those in place. Now you can see the pin. You can take it out, which I will be doing for painting, of course. But the pin is pretty sturdy in there, which is a good thing. So I know it won't be falling apart. So very pleased with it. Now about the howdah. Very happy with the way it turned out as well. But whilst assembling this, unfortunately, I cut my finger.
Blood has been spilled this night.
Now the entire thing, all three different platforms, they can be taken apart. I also had to fix the top parts because those were covered in glue, put some green stuff here and there as well, but I think they look pretty nice. So here we go, we can take them apart, which, like I said earlier, will be a lot easier for painting purposes as well. But the top panel, or the top platform if you must, where the chieftain will be put on, that did require some work, because those again are different pieces, whilst the other two are solid pieces of plastic. So I had to sculpt all of those, fill up the gaps, and also the top tusks. I replaced those, like I said just now, with skewer sticks, because yeah, they were completely covered in glue. So I just decided to pin those in place. They're not original, of course, but I think they blend them pretty well. And again, once painted up, both the green stuff and all of that, all the mistakes, they will be fixed. You won't be able to tell, and I think it will look pretty nice once put together. So I'm very pleased with it. I'm very pleased with how he turned out so far.